Welcome to Software Leaders Uncensored with Steve Taplin. Welcome to Software Leaders Uncensored, where tech leaders drop the filters and just tell it like it is. I'm your host, Steve Taplin, a serial technology entrepreneur who's launched 30 companies, had 20 of those fail, but scaled 10 of those to success. And I turned that roller coaster of a ride into my book. It's called Fail Hard, Win Big. And this is where I teach you how to turn failure into your biggest competitive advantage and how custom software played a defining role in every win. Now I'm the CEO of Sonatify Technology. We're a nearshore software engineering firm helping existing teams scale with our nearshore talent. And today I am joined by Ihab Rimawi, who is the CEO and founder of a company called My-Fi.AI. Ihab has been an engineer, an engineering leader. He's been a CTO. Now he's a founder. Ihab, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Steve.
If you would, walk our listeners through the journey of your career and what's led you to found your current venture.
Sure. So technology has been something that's really dear to my heart. It's more of a puzzle that I try to solve, if you will. As for my career, a lot of it just happened to be. It wasn't really planned, other than I knew I wanted to be in technology. Started early on in some media companies in a time that they were switching to internet. As you can tell, it's a very challenging times at that time. Did that for a few years, then moved to logistics, which was a totally different beast. My first management job in technology. One day I worked in a big company, I should say, but it did not have any technology. 12,000 employees, their international arm. One day I was under a desk, holding a screwdriver, fixing somebody's computer, while on my cell phone negotiating a $12 million SAP contract. So that was the environment that was in that world. So it kind of gave me a lot. I learned a lot there, having been in a big enterprise, but really kind of how do we do a startup? And naturally, I fell into my next role after, where I co-founded a MarTech company called Mizobit, stayed there for 4 years, and got acquired by an ad tech company called OpenX. Afterwards, I moved on to be a CTO in a private equity fund where we acquired distressed assets and tried to flip it back to profitability. That stayed till about the pandemic, then joined a media company again called GeoMedia, fairly, at the time, large population, about 150 million unique users a month from the US alone. And then afterwards, here I am with MyFi, which is more of a mission in my world.
Well, so you've had some cool experiences there, including already experienced an exit. That's phenomenal. So tell us more about MyFi.
Sure. So MyFi, the whole idea started that you live your lifestyle based on your values, and they're really personalized to you. So you eat, you dress, you live, you send your children to schools where they kind of are personalized to your needs and they go with your worldviews. Except for our money, right? We put our monies with financial advisors or wealth managers, and voila, this is what happens. We don't know if this money is actually serving our causes. Are we okay sleeping at night, okay with our investments or not? We really don't even know, right? So the idea is, are we able to create a system that allows us to invest our money in a way that goes with our worldviews, not anybody else's? And by the way, it's personalized to us as well. So it serves our financial needs, not somebody else's. So that's the whole concept of MyFi.
So this was a passion project that allows you to focus on what you care about. I love it. Well, tell us what you're building and some current projects.
Sure. At MyFi, basically, we're relying a lot on models on AI, which is really cool. We have a lot of data. When I say a lot of data, we mean a lot of data. We're collecting a lot of data about the companies, about the C-level folks in the companies, the officers, what the companies purchase, what they sell, how they conduct their business, so that when somebody comes to us and say, hey, I care about cause A, we're able to say, yes, here's what this company looks when it comes from a cause A lens, if you will. So it's very challenging engineering problem, because you could imagine the amount of data that we use, and we still, after collecting all those terabytes of data, we have to train models that kind of understand that data and give answers based on that data, so that the end user is able to invest their money in a way they don't lose money, but at the end of the day, they have to at least be, as any S&P 500
So educate
Let me
me.
see. Look.
I'm assuming the type of data you're focused on is not something that's included in annual reports or quarterly reports. That this is like, where are you sourcing this data to back the investment thesis here?
Excellent questions. The the SEC filings is part of our data, but it's not all the data. So we ingest basically any piece of news that we can find about a specific company. We ingest a lot of like who are the investors from the financial declarations of that company. We take those investors, we start researching each one of those investors or officers about this company. We take all the macro data from the government as well to say, for example, there's a company in the Northeast, and the Northeast is having X or Y number of problems that will affect that company. Therefore, this company may not be the best investment or the best investment for a specific time. We collect a lot of data also that comes through the PR systems. We collect a lot of data that come from the ratings sites like Capterra, a lot of foreign data as well, what those companies are conducting business outside of the US. So we collect all of this data, and we train our models with it or feed it to our models to understand, make sense of what we're trying to accomplish.
Gotcha. So, what would be an example investment if, like, what would be a typical cause or personal values that your system will go around to point to companies that have those similar features?
I'll give you an example. Let's say if you are vegan, right? Like you don't eat meat, you don't want to really slaughter animals for that's your cause in life. So
Okay.
you come to our system and you say, "Hey, I am vegan. I care about not slaughtering any animals. So I would like to make sure that my investments follow suit." And what our system then is going to create that conversation into a checkbox that says not slaughter. You don't want any animals to be slaughtered. And as Wedge, we're going to scan your portfolio if you don't choose to invest with us and say, here is company A that actually owns company B, or three companies down, and that company actually runs an animal slaughter or something related to animals, at which you may want to drop this investment because this is not according to your worldviews. Not only that, once you do that and drop it, if you decide to, we show you what if. So we keep track of both investments, and you're able to see that you made better based on, or the same based on our recommendations to you. So we don't just tell you, here's the bad actor in your world and drop it.
Hmm.
We make sure that here's the alternative for your bad product. And by the way, here's how you would have done, have you stayed where you are, and here's where you are now.
So, here's a crazy question. How do you make sure that advice aligns with what could be a good investment?
And that's basically where our models come in play, right? So we've tracked all the historical information about all the companies that we can collect that we have in our model, enough data that we trained our models with that we're confident that when we give you a advice based on your personalized data, and I should say more a little bit about personalized investment. So you could create a persona, right? So you could be the same Steve who wants to put his kids through college 18 years from now, but you also could be the person who wants $1,000 for the holiday season so that you're able to buy some gifts. So you get to see how the recommendation of the investment varies a lot. All of that, we're layering your values on top. So say, as I mentioned, like you don't want to invest in defense for whatever reason, fine. Let's try to find something that gives you a similar portfolio in terms of profit, but that is not defense. And we'll find,
Okay.
for example, telecommunications, we'll find another industry maybe in a region that's growing in that sense, and we'll make sure that we're in a similar capacity giving you those recommendations. And we track it, so we'll
So
know when we
your
can.
AI powered investment platform is ingesting huge amounts of data. Tell us about your software engineering team that's pulling this off for you. How many team members you
Sure.
have, the work model you guys go by.
Sure. Our software engineers, well, this is a passion project, I should start. So I have a little bit more than 20 years, 2 decades worth of experience. So I made sure that everybody I brought into this project is somebody I have worked with in the past, which is a unique first time I do that in my throughout my career where the stars align. So we have a team of 10 so far. We have front-end engineers, we have back-end engineers, we have two data engineers. I'm talking here about the software, and there are two product managers that are running that. But we have four data engineers and then front-end and back-end. So it's
Gotcha.
four, two, and two.
And are you, as this is a new venture, are you guys fully remote? How do you go about managing that? What time zones are your engineers in?
We are fully remote. We have folks in the Middle East, we have folks in New York, we have product folks in Maine, and we have people in Ecuador.
Gotcha.
So we're all over.
So how do you manage the time zone differences to ensure everybody can collaborate and be productive?
We're an agile shop, so we have the stand-up meetings. They start with the teams frequently every day, but then on the larger scale, we have it weekly, once a week on the books, every Thursday, stand up where we go, okay, here's where we are, here are the problems, how can we solve them? And those break into smaller sessions of meetings of what we need to do to fix the problems that we have. And it seems to be serving us so far well, given that, as I said, everybody have worked in the past with other folks, which makes it much easier to predict what others need. It really worked well.
Gotcha. So what is your biggest business or technical outcome that you're focused on your startup for by the end of this year, which is only a couple of months away?
Yeah, I think a matter of now we're kind of focusing, lasering down on our marketing efforts from a marketing point of view, which is really intertwined with our engineering a lot because the idea is how can we deliver an easy user experience that is, you know, you're able to get into our world and you're able to have a quick chat that tells us we're able to understand what your values are and what your personal situation is, and as a result, convert you into a customer. So that onboarding process for us is really mostly marketing, but still, it's one of our hardest problem, even hardest than the core of the system itself, because I don't know anything about you. With a very simple conversation, chatbot, I need to know what your values are. I need to know what your goals and aspirations financially are, and I need to convert you into a customer.
Gotcha. So from a tech perspective, what's the biggest challenges you're fighting through right now?
Um, Currently, um, basically our training pipeline, those are where we are today. Collecting all the data and scheduling it, I guess, not scheduling, what's the word I'm looking for here? To structure our data in a way that we're able to A, provide it to our like models for training, B, to take that data and use it for a RAG system for an LLM was quite challenging. So we needed to do it basically a measure twice, cut once type of deal because of the size of the data that we ingest. And that was the biggest challenge. But as of now, it's just a matter of like making sure that we finalize our training pipelines, which are, I would say, less of a challenge, but also with the functionality we have, it's a little bit more challenging.
Gotcha. And so have you guys been able to adopt AI productivity tools into your engineering process? And what do you like? What do you not like as it's changing every day?
It is. You're indeed right. We started with Copilot and then we moved to a Claude Code in terms of our code. What I like about it, it's excellent for senior folks, senior software engineers. I think it's really very powerful tool as long as they don't get lazy and they actually look at the code that's being produced. When it comes to more junior folks, we had a couple of junior folks coming on our like interns. I think it was a little bit, in my opinion, preventing them from getting the full experience because, well, the answer is ready. I can vibe code and get to the outcome, which is great, but then you lost the experience. How do you get from A to B? So we've done quite a bit. We've used it for our also designs. Other than the code, we've done it as we used it for code reviews also. So we're using it quite heavily, actually, a lot of productivity tools when it comes to AI. It saves time.
Gotcha. It's definitely when you look at all the tools out there, it gets frustrating that I think there's a lot of them that can do, 50 or 75% of what you want, but not the remainder. And then a new tool or a new version of another tool comes out that claims they can tackle it. And it's hard not to just jump between tools for the latest and greatest. It's definitely keeping tech leaders on their toes right now, staying up to date with the different tools out there.
You're absolutely right. I mean, it feels like, I mean, I would say one of the challenges now in our business is I remember my first startup, it was, you knew what you wanted. You had like some input from your investors, maybe your big customers, and like friends, family, and fool, FF and F, I call them. And, that's your data points, right? Now you have a massive amount of data points. And the challenge really, how do you stay focused on mission? So you have a lot of noise. It's everywhere, right? And it's just like, okay, a lot of tools that do this and that and the other thing. And you have a lot of input from a million places. But then how do you stay focused on your roadmap and make sure that you're accomplishing what you set to do, which is really challenging by itself. It's a very, very difficult task now.
No doubt. A lot of AI startups right now are hitting the headlines of um, focused on what is often referred to as a 996 culture of working 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. A lot of Silicon Valley are requiring people in office every day, and uh, they're the mindset is that there's too much work to be done and we don't have a lot of time to do it. Kind of joke, you do it wrong enough, long enough, you figure out how to do it right. And burnout of the team is can be a real problem. What's your thought to that? And how, as you're launching this new AI investment platform, what's your take on all this?
Let me start by the 996. I think it's a very bad idea. It's a terrible idea. I think that if you like, the company is just people. Otherwise, it's an idea. Without the people you have, without your colleagues, it's just an idea. It doesn't really go anywhere. One person cannot do it, otherwise we would have. And the idea that you're going to take people away from their families, take people away from their hobbies, their free time, their what they like to do is just, to me, it's not right. I'm not going to say more, but there's balance in everything, including the company itself. So when you get some people who are fresh coming in the morning, they're really looking forward to work is one thing. But if you're running a sweatshop, it's certainly you're creating a lot of inefficiencies. You're creating a lot of folks who are not focused. You're going to be frustrated yourself as a leadership. And ultimately, it's just a recipe for disaster. And to your point earlier, people are just going to start dropping for the first opportunity, even if they're getting paid less. So what did you gain really by adding hours? You're losing a lot of productivity and losing a lot of sense of ownership of what you're trying to accomplish.
I'm with you. I'm with you. With that said, though, you're in startup mode, building your product. There's a lot of money going into the launch of this. Uh, how do you uh, how do you manage that balance of you know uh, waiting for the revenue producing part of your business while you're building?
So, I mean, it's a challenge. It's a challenge that we've had in previous startups when I was in the private equity. It was a challenge as well. And it's a challenge today, to be honest with you. But still, I would think that the closest way to get to where we need to be is to have people who are focused to get us there, which means that sometimes we're going to have to actually tough it up and work a few extra hours. But to make that the standard rather than the exception, that's the part I don't quite understand. I mean, when you have a release always in software engineering, you have to put extra hours. If you think about it as if you're reading a heart ECG, you should have that low point, right, to go back up. You cannot stay up, otherwise the heart is not going to function. And you could think about the team the same way. So if we go up during a release time, you have to kind of get a low time where people decompress and get refreshed so that we're taking on the next challenge.
I like it. So I have you've been experienced engineering professional. You've now had multiple startups. What are some brutal lessons you've learned on your journey that you wish you could go tell your younger self?
I mean, I think it's a matter of learn to delegate. The faster, I guess, we learn to delegate is the sooner the better. Always, especially early on, as starting into management, you're like, I can do this, I can do it faster and better. And I think anybody who's thinking this way is missing the point. So you can, if you make everybody, if you have a team of 10 and you're making each one of them 10% more efficient, you just created an 11th person. But if you can do everything yourself, all you're doing is you're putting yourself to be a roadblock in front of everybody. Over communicating is another one. Certainly, the more you over communicate, the more you make sure that the message is clear. Don't assume that people will get your message just because you think it is clear. Make sure that it is clear, spell it out in a very, very simple way so that everybody can get it. And between communicating and making sure that people have the work and they have the sense of ownership over this work, that's really all I needed to teach myself when I was younger.
Gotcha. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for getting uncensored with us today. You've definitely you've had an exciting career journey through the corporate and startup world, and you have this exciting new venture that I'm excited to see come out. Before we wrap, what's some no BS advice you have for tech leaders who are trying to build, scale, or even just survive in these interesting times?
The only advice I would say, focus on processes, do not focus on technologies. Technologies come and go, stacks change every other month. Focus on processes and make sure that you're able to automate those processes. The more you focus on processes and you have them very well defined and you're able to automate them, that's work that's being done for you when you're asleep. Focusing on the next shiny thing is just going to get you distracted and you're going to end up chasing the next thing always. That's my only advice.
Great advice, Ihab. Thank you so much. That's it for this episode of Software Leaders Uncensored. I'm Steve Taplin. If you enjoyed the show, go ahead and hit subscribe. If you didn't enjoy it, well, we're just going to share it with your competitors. Might be the edge they're looking for. Remember to fail hard, win big, and always build what matters. See you next time. That's a wrap. Another great episode of Software Leaders Uncensored. Thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun doing this show. I love talking with great tech leaders. As a side note, if you're interested, check out my new book, Fail Hard, Win Big. This is the story of how I built 30 companies, failed on 20, and turned 10 into multi-million-dollar wins. The common thread with all of them was custom software. Also, if you need software development help out there, my company, Sonatify Technology, we deliver world-class software development engineers out of Latin America. We have a solid track record of helping companies launch better products and faster. Thanks again for listening. Appreciate it and appreciate you.